It's a lady in London here. Today I'm coming to you from Paris, and I can't wait to show you around and take you to some of my favorite places in the French capital. From pretty neighborhoods to great cafes, beautiful landmarks, and more, this city has a lot going for it. Let's go take a look and see what we find.
It's easy to get to Paris on the train from London. The journey is only 2 hours and 15 minutes. On this trip, I'm staying at a cool hotel. It has everything from a stylish lobby area to a rooftop bar. The rooms are great, and the rates are refreshingly reasonable for Paris. I'll put a link to where you can book a stay here in the description of this video on YouTube. There's no right or wrong way to spend your time on a Paris itinerary. Mine has a mix of the big sights and the local places Parisians love. I've lived and worked in Paris in the past, and I'm meeting up with a number of local friends on this trip. As such, mine is an itinerary you'll enjoy if you want something different from the standard box-ticking exercise. You can see the full itinerary with all the details in the blog post referenced in the description of this video on YouTube. Once I've arrived and settled in at my hotel, I walk over to the famous Père Lachaise. It's the largest cemetery in Paris and the most visited necropolis in the world. Like London's Highgate Cemetery, this beautiful historic place is packed with graves of famous figures. I spend a peaceful afternoon walking down the long lanes and paying visits to everyone from Jim Morrison to Marcel Proust, Oscar Wilde, and Frédéric Chopin. In the evening, I meet up with friends for drinks and we walk up the iconic Champs-Élysées towards the Arc de Triomphe. It's glowing in the evening light, and it's fun to see it get bigger as we approach. Eventually, we veer off and go to dinner at Le Courcelles in the 17th arrondissement. This might just be the prettiest cafe in Paris. I start the second morning of my itinerary with a day trip to the Palace of Versailles. Along with two of my friends, I hop on a train in the morning and get to the famous chateau at 10 a.m. On the way from the train station to the palace, we stop for coffee and pastries and browse a local produce market. We've pre-booked tickets and an audio guide, so we enter the gates and start exploring right away. Versailles is huge and we've all been here before, but it still amazes us how much there is to see here. We start with the interiors, which impress us with their grandeur. The famous Hall of Mirrors is particularly ornate, but the other rooms and halls are equally stunning. After seeing the interiors, we walk into the gardens. Walking through the water gardens, we make our way down to the Great Lawn, past Apollo's Fountain, and to the Grand Canal. It's hard to believe how big the grounds are. We also walk over and tour the Grand Trianon and Petit Trianon and explore Marie Antoinette's estate with its Little Queen's Hamlet. At the end, we circle back to the main gardens and walk down the hedge-lined paths to see the fountains. We get lucky as we arrive at the Neptune fountain right as the water starts spouting into the air. It's a great parting gift from Versailles. Back in Paris, we meet up with more friends for dinner at an Italian restaurant on the famous Rue du Faubourg Saint-Honoré. It's one of our local friends' favorites, and the pasta is delicious. Afterwards, we head for a nightcap at a local bar where we watch the world go by outside. The next morning, my 6 days in Paris continue with some shopping. This city inspires my inner fashionista like nowhere else. I even went around with a personal shopper once. I've come armed with a list of places I want to go. I start at the iconic Cézanne in the 2nd arrondissement and work my way through my list for the morning. You can see all the details of the places I went in the blog post in the description of this video on YouTube. When lunch comes, I hop on the metro and meet friends in the 6th for a Korean barbecue feast. It goes down a treat in the intimate dining room. After eating, we do a bit of shopping on Rue Vavin and wander into the Jardin du Luxembourg. This is one of my favorite green spaces in Paris, and I love walking around to admire the statues, the Medici fountain, and the 17th century palace. From the garden, we walk over to Place Saint-Michel with its grand fountain. Then we cross the Seine to get to the Ile de la Cité. We take in the facade of the Notre Dame before passing the Sainte-Chapelle, a 13th century Gothic chapel with amazing stained glass windows. Crossing the Seine again, we wave hello to the Louvre and make our way to the Palais Royal. We take in the striped columns and shops in the middle, then settle in for drinks at a cafe nearby. Later, we walk to Opéra to see the famous Palais Garnier. My 6 days in Paris continue as I meet my friends on Rue Montmartre. It's one of my favorite streets in the city. This road in the 5th arrondissement is packed with crêperies, restaurants, food shops, and markets. We eat lunch at a local restaurant, then walk around and take in the scene. Later, we go to afternoon tea at a luxury hotel in Paris. It's a beautiful one, complete with all the traditional savories and pastries, but with a French twist. We linger over afternoon tea for a couple of hours, catching up on each other's lives and enjoying the scenery. After tea, we take a long walk in Paris. We wander through gardens, walk along the Seine, and wave hello to the Louvre. Eventually, we part ways and I continue the walk solo, heading back into the Palais Royal, over to the Ile de la Cité and the Ile Saint-Louis, and out to the Bastille as the sun sets. The next morning, my 6 days in Paris continue with a trip to the Marais. After eating breakfast in the famous Place des Vosges, I walk around the square and admire the fountains. From there, I can't help doing a bit more shopping. When afternoon comes, I hop on the metro and meet a local friend for lunch in the 5th arrondissement. After lunch, I take the metro to Montmartre to meet up with the friends I'm traveling with. With its fun shops, buzzing cafes, beautiful views, and famous Moulin Rouge, this is one of my favorite places in Paris. We walk around the pretty squares and head over to the Sacré-Cœur, the iconic hilltop basilica, where there are great views of the city. From there, we walk all the way over to the Canal Saint-Martin, another of the areas I love in Paris. This romantic waterway is lined with fun boutiques, restaurants, and cafes, and it's a pleasant place to wander. We end our walk in Bastille, where we meet another friend and settle in for drinks at a bar. We walk over to the Marais to have dinner at a famous falafel place we all know and love. On the last of my 6 days in Paris, I head to the Eiffel Tower. It's a must on any Paris itinerary, and I've saved the best for last. After admiring it from a distance, I cross the river and get a closer look. From the tower, I make my way to Rue Claire. This street is famous for its cafes, restaurants, and shops, and I love coming here when I'm in town. From there, I take a long walk to lunch. First, I head over to the Hôtel des Invalides to admire its ornate dome. Then I cross the beautiful Pont Alexandre Trois, which has great views of the Eiffel Tower. Once on the right bank, I walk past the Grand Palais and Petit Palais to get to the Champs-Élysées. From there, I head up the side streets to Parc Monceau. At the end of my walk, I meet a friend for lunch at a crêperie on Rue des Dames in the 17th. After lunch, I can't help heading back to the Marais to do a last bit of shopping. From there, I pick up my bags at my hotel and head off on the train back to London.
Thanks for coming around Paris with me. I hope you've enjoyed the tour, and I hope it's inspired you to get out and explore the City of Light yourself someday. It's a truly special part of the world and one of my favorite cities. As always, there's more on my blog, aladyinlondon.com, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel before you go. Happy travels!